Good morning, fast boys and girls. It's Miss Ellen, and today I've got the king of the forest with me, my great big stuffed lion. And he's brought some new cartoon characters from Blast to be here with me. Today's story is about true greatness, and I want to ask you, have you ever felt like you wish that you were important or somebody would notice that you were the best at something? Or that you were envious of what somebody else could do that you couldn't do and they got all the attention? Well, that's kind of how Michael and it was feeling one Sunday. The day before, at Michael's church, they could not afford to pay somebody to clean their church. So Michael's family had volunteered to do that every Sunday before church. And that's what Michael had done the day before. He had helped his mom and dad and family to sweep the floor and vacuum, wash the kitchen and bathroom floors, and clean the washrooms. And then on Sunday, it was his classmate Stephen and their family that was leading the worship. Michael noticed after the worship service, after the whole service was over, that his classmates all gathered around Stephen and told him, wow, how exciting it was to see him up there and what a good job he did. But Michael felt left out and envious because nobody had ever circled around to tell him or his family what a good job they did. Well, Michael's dad noticed how quiet Michael was all that Sunday, and in the evening when it was devotional time, he asked Michael what was up, and Michael explained what had happened in the morning. And so Michael's dad said, let me read you a story. And he turned to Mark and said, listen carefully. This is what Jesus said. After he and his disciples had walked to Capernaum, Jesus asked his disciples, what were you arguing about on the way here? Well, the disciples got very quiet because they had been arguing about which of them was the most important. And so Jesus sat down with them and he said, whoever wants to be first must be the last of all and the servant of all. And then Jesus picked up a child and holding it in his arms, he told his disciples further, whoever welcomes a child welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes God who sent me. And then Michael's dad closed the book and said, Michael, come on outside and let's take a look at the stars. And so they did. And Michael's dad said, now, in the sky, which star do you think is the brightest? And Michael said, oh, that one is. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this one. Oh, or this. Oh, I don't know. It's hard to decide, said Michael's dad, isn't it? Now, Michael, think about this in the morning. When the sun comes up, which of the stars would be the brightest? Well, I don't know, said Michael. And then Michael thought, hey, wait a minute. It won't make any difference, will it? Because the sun is the brightest of all. That's exactly right, said Dad. And it's that way when we're doing ministry and serving Jesus. It doesn't make any difference what job we do, as long as we are doing it full-heartedly for Jesus. That makes Jesus the brightest at all, and that is true greatness. But then, as they walked back into the house, Michael's dad asked, did you notice that Jesus pulled aside a little child to help them understand the story? And Michael said yes. He said, well, there's a bit more to learn or to think about when serving God. It is to be wholeheartedly doing the job that's been given to you. But think of babies. A baby is totally helpless. When you were a baby, could you feed yourself? Michael said, no. Could you diaper yourself? Michael laughed. No, of course not, Dad. I was a baby. Dad said, that's exactly right. Mom and I had to do everything for you, absolutely everything to take care of you. We had to feed you. We had to make sure you were comfortable. We had to make sure you were safe. We had to make sure that you were diapered. All those things until you were old enough to start taking on those responsibilities. And I think that when Jesus pulled that little child aside, he wanted to remind big people that we should take care of those who are helpless, the poor and needy around us who maybe don't have the kinds of things that we do. But Michael's dad said, "You are much bigger now, aren't you? You can get up by yourself and you can get yourself dressed. But who is still giving you your food, the good food that you eat? Yep, we still have certain responsibilities. But you can do chores, you're at school, and there's time for you to play with friends. And it's still up to us to make sure that you get a good night's sleep. And also to teach you about God and to teach you to pray to Him and to obey us as well as God." And Michael, I think that when Jesus pulled a child to him to talk about greatness, he also wanted us to know that children have an important part in teaching us about obeying our parents, and that we as people who follow Jesus should also be obedient to God. And then there are Bible stories about children that can teach us things. Remember the story of Naaman? Well, the only reason he got better is because a little slave girl who had been forced from her own home and was now a servant in a stranger's house told Naaman's wife where he could get help. But do you think that Naaman or the wife would have believed that servant girl if she had not been showing responsibility in her duties as a slave girl? That she had been showing that she was dependable and trustworthy? Do you think that they would have trusted what she said if she had not shown it by her actions and by doing the chores that she needed to do without being a big complainer? And then there's Jesus himself. Remember the story of when he was found in the temple? Jesus, as a little boy, shared and showed by his own actions how important it was to be listening to stories about God and to learn about God. And then, remember the story of the little boy who shared his food with others? We learn that at play, don't we? We need to share our toys, but we can learn to share all kinds of things, our love for other people, by helping those who are poor and needy. And Michael's dad said, all those things are important in learning true greatness. Jesus wants us to help the poor and needy, but he also wants us, if we are going to be true leaders, just like children depend on their parents for food and clothes, we need to depend on our Heavenly Father to take care of us and to obey what he has to say. And that is our story for today. I hope that you will take care and remember that to be a leader, we need to serve other people. And I am looking forward to the very next story to tell. Bye for now, and I'm keeping praying for you. Take care and remember to wash your hands and self-distance.